The Human Trafficking Task Force of Greater Milwaukee we're about 8 years in conception. We started as the County Human Trafficking Task Force. And once that effort sunset, the city of Milwaukee picked it up. And we just sat around and with a group of, I call them my A team, and we came up with the name, the Human Trafficking Task Force of Greater Milwaukee. And our endeavor is to eradicate human trafficking through coordinated services, policy and legislation, and education and awareness. But we're seeing the needle move in a miraculous way from day to day. And I've taken a bite out of the eradication, the ending of human trafficking by working one person at a time. It matters to that person. Coordinated services probably has been the most challenging because that means you're bringing people out of their silos to work together. But what we have found when we look around the community of those who are indeed doing good work to eradicate human trafficking, much of the synergy has come from the task force, where they're meeting monthly. They get to know each other. They get to hear what's being done throughout the community, and then they coordinate that way. But because this is an ever-evolving task, by the time you print the ink and before it dries, someone has put up another shingle, someone has taken down a shingle, things like that. So that has been the most difficult to organize, I would say, in a way that we can really see the needle move. Education and awareness. There are some people that have been working with individuals who have been on the street for a very, very long time. And they have said, and I believe you've interviewed him, Deacon Steve, my friend. He's been in this movement for about 20 plus years. But he gives the credit to the Human Trafficking Task Force for raising the bar on the conversation about human trafficking. And Martha Love and I, who invited me to this conversation 8 years ago, we have been the ones going out, not the only, but in the beginning, just beating the drum, saying not in our community and not in yours, not in our community and not in yours, as we were learning about what was happening in our community. And then it was J.B. Van Hollen who said, human trafficking is happening in all 72 counties. We were looking for a wonderful quote. We were looking for that validation because starting out 8 years ago, this was just an inner city black girl phenomenon. You know, no father, eating flour and water, and who cared? Who cared about the prostitute? But now that we have this wonderful definition of force, fraud, and coercion that is necessary to be able to split the hair of someone who may be selling their body of their own volition versus someone who is under the thumb through force, fraud, and coercion has made a huge difference. And the fact that our Attorney General said that this is happening in all 72 counties, that was a game changer, even for those who didn't want to believe it, because although we were saying it and we knew that, because when it came to Martha, it was from someone that lived in the suburbs, 5-bedroom home, private schools, two-parent household, all of that. So we knew it was far greater than just an inner city phenomenon. And there we go, beating the drum to make a difference.
So human trafficking is not just in Milwaukee. It has happening in actually all the states. So you mentioned earlier that Minnesota is a little bit ahead of us. They have a program called Safe Harbor. How can it happen here? How can Safe Harbor happen in Milwaukee?
Well, we're lobbying. We're talking to legislators. We're continuing the conversation. We're making the differentiation that a girl, I'm saying a girl, it's
yes.
predominantly girls, but domestically, 13 being the average age that they're trafficked, which is horrific.
That is horrific.
But, so we're talking to legislators and we're raising the awareness around the fact that we need to differentiate that well, it's already in the law that if you're under 18, then you're a victim of circumstances. You're a victim of human trafficking. Over 18, you have to prove force, fraud, or coercion.
Mm-hmm.
But we do not want a minor to be treated as an adult without first understanding that she's a victim of her circumstance. So then she'll go to a safe place instead of being treated as a criminal. We have a distance to go when we consider the different entities that will touch a young girl's life so that there is no victim blaming.
Mm-hmm.
We have a distance to go, but we're on target. We're just going to continue to beat the drum and share with our judges, share with law enforcement, share with teachers and social workers and individuals who touch young people's lives in particular. And that's why through my not-for-profit Foundations for Freedom, I'm also working on the prevention side. Mm-hmm. So that if we can talk to the 7th and 8th graders about the plight of human trafficking while reducing the vulnerabilities and really helping to increase their self-esteem and confidence so that one, they'll have that inner knower about, I've been taught about this. I know what's going on. When someone comes that will try to approach them in this manner, they'll already have the red flag. So there are organizations that are working on the prevention side as well as also with the victims of trafficking to move the needle and to eradicate human trafficking. It's necessary. We have to work on both sides. While we're beating the drum, a lot of hats are being worn at the same time. While we're beating the drum saying, yes, it's really happening in our city. Mouths still open wide around the thought of human trafficking in our city. Yes, that's why it's an underground system. Mm-hmm. That's why it has been able to grow and take these roots right here among us because we haven't been paying attention. But now that we're paying attention, we want to get rid of this stereotype that Milwaukee is the Harvard of pimp school and what's known and Wisconsin being known as the hub for human trafficking. That can only take place if individuals aren't paying attention.
How open are schools when you come and say, I would like middle schools, these are middle school students, how open are they when you come and approach them and say, I would like to talk to these 7th and 8th graders? How open are they for you to come and talk to those students?
Some are very open and some are not. The high school that I mentioned before, where I was able to seam together how my world of etiquette and image was going to tie into human trafficking, it was also at that school that I was kicked out. Because basically the social worker was like, thanks a lot. Now that you've opened these can of worms, thanks. You've just increased my workload. And that aha moment is very sad for me because there are a lot of people that would not want to deal with it. I'm most proud that survivors of human trafficking find the task force to be a safe place where they can come and learn. And many of them, when they were in the life, did not know. They're like, who cares? So when they come to a room where we're all working together to eradicate human trafficking, it really moves them in a way that makes them happy to be alive and to do something within, to be able to continue to do something within our community. Some of those stories around individuals that come to the task force and they are in tears because they did not know that the help was there and that it's ongoing is a blessing. Where they can rest in knowing that, okay, there are other people just like me who are in the life. And here are a group of people that have either come through the task force or are still part of it that are working every day. We found it to be wind beneath our wings to eradicate human trafficking, to save just one, and that's day by day. So there are many, many good stories that are out there, but I love the fact, and even now, a trafficker who was in jail for 20 years, and he watched me I was in a meeting, and he kind of held back. He said, I noticed that you work with a lot of women. He said, what about the men? What about those of us that were on the other side? I said, well, what about you? And as he began to tell me his story, it further solidified that everyone has a story. And he was groomed at 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And his life just continued to evolve. But now he's even on the other side of that, repentant, wanting to make a difference so that no one else will have to experience what he put women and girls through.